Welcome back to another powerful conversation on the Boss Women Network podcast, the place where stories of purpose, power, and preservation comes to life. Today's guest embodies what it means to walk in divine alignment. She's a licensed mental health professional, a soul stirring speaker, a published author, and a woman of God who turned her purpose into her platform. So let's welcome Miss Courtney Arlesia today. All right.
Hi.
So glad to have you.
I'm so glad to be here.
All right. So you wear so many beautiful titles: writer, healer, speaker,
Mhm,
creator.
mhm, mhm,
But before we
mhm.
dive into all of that, take us back. Who was Courtney before the brand? What sparked this journey of empowerment and faith?
Oh, that is such a good question. I love that question. So, wow, I feel like Courtney's faith started at a very, very young age. I feel like I have always had this strong sense of belief in God. So, I grew up in church. I always tell people. This is probably a stretch of my imagination, but I always tell people I know I was at church 6 weeks after my mama had me. like but I just know that I was there. My dad was very active in church. He sung. My dad's mom, God rest her soul, she sung at church. My mom is a singer. She was in church, active in church. Her family was active. Um, and then probably about the age, maybe between like the ages of 8 and 12, my family had moved from the city that I'm from into the city where I grew up. And even then, my parents stopped going to church, but I still found myself at church. Um, I had a family friend that used to just come get me and some other neighborhood kids, and we were always at church. And I can remember the first time where I felt like I had like a spiritual encounter with God, and I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. So God has always been a big part of everything that I do. My faith has always been really, really strong. And I believe it's not because of what other people have told me about God. That's part of it. But it's because I've experienced God myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. At 13 years old?
Girl, yeah, I've been in ministry for a very, very long time. I've been singing for a very, very long time. We used to be on a drill team at church, and we used to shout out to all my people who grew up with me. So we were on a drill team, and we used to travel, girl, and compete with this drill team. You know the song We Read It? You
Oh,
know that song.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we literally remixed that song and we made it into like a Christian version, girl. And we would go and travel to like these different conferences and these events, and we would win. And people would call for us
Wow.
to actually come and perform. Like we were booked and busy, child. So
Wow.
yeah, girl. And I'm grateful to that too, for the women and ministry leaders who are pouring into us, at such a young age. And so yeah, I my faith started at a really, really young age. I feel like as I grew up, so when I turned 23, I graduated college, but I also found out that I was pregnant a month later after I had graduated college, and that was a big turning point in my life. But I ended up losing my son. um and so some
No.
Yeah, it's very tragic, but something I always tell people too though. So his 12th birthday just passed. His birthday was September 7th. And so but something I tell people, and even in that moment, he changed my life. Like if anything, it really woke me up. And that young woman who has always had a relationship with God, you know what I mean? It really tugged something on my spirit to say, hey, you need to pay attention to how you're showing up in this world. You need to pay attention to what you're giving to this world and what you're gaining from this world. Like you just need to it really made me ground a little bit more. It made me face my trauma. It made me really, really grow up. I think, my mom was talking to me about this the other day. I know I'm talking a lot, but my mom was talking to me about this other day. And she said, Courtney, when you turned 18, you never said, I'm grown now, I'm this, I'm that, da, 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 da. But I did feel like I was grown. I did feel like I could do whatever I wanted to do. I never said those things. I never felt the need to. But at the age of 18, I was on my own. I moved out immediately. I did all these things. But when I lost him, I was like, oh, baby, oh, you thought. You thought you were grown, but here comes this heartache, here comes this pain. But also here came my purpose too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gosh, I was out to fight the tears on that one because I just can't imagine losing one of my kids. So for you to be here
Mm,
smiling, you
yeah.
strong woman. How long ago was that?
12 years ago. So 12 years ago, September 7th. And honestly, I was in labor for a very, very long time because I had to give birth. So it was second trimester miscarriage.
Mm,
So I actually went to the hospital September 6th.
mm,
And my grandmother that I just spoke about, her birthday is September 3rd. So, like, now that my angels are, not here with me, they are in heaven. I feel like because I've done so much work to ground and to learn about grief and to learn about expressing my feelings and emotions and teaching other people the same thing, I feel like it has put me in this place of security. You know what I mean? Like, and
mm.
safety, and to know that they are always here with me. Do I miss them? Yeah. Do I get sad? Yeah. Um, do I have to deal with those highs and lows of grief? Yeah. But more importantly, like, I'm really, really secure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really, really blessed. And I know that I have additional covering checking out, looking out for me and making sure that I'm well. You know what I mean? I always feel like there's always someone sitting on God's shoulder, like, hey, go see about my girl. You know what I mean? So I feel it's hard, but I do feel blessed. I feel blessed to still be standing. You know what I mean? I feel blessed to 12 years later, because some people don't get to a point where they can talk about these type of things,
Right,
or that
right.
they can even face it to grieve it. You know what I mean? Some people never ever get to that point in life. And I am extremely blessed that at an age of 23, I was 23 years old, I was a kid, at that age, I had courage to keep going, because there's so many other people at that same age or even older than me that an experience like that will take them out completely.
That most definitely. So yeah, that's great that you actually come out of that stronger and found your
Yeah.
purpose in the process. By the
Yeah.
way, my son's birthday is September the 3rd.
Really? See,
Yeah.
and it's little things like that, you know what I mean, that make you feel good, that make you feel like, oh, that I love you from that person that's on the other side. That makes me, I love me a good Virgo, honey. Happy birthday to your son.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little cold here, but so I love that your first venture is Endless Love back in
Mm.
2012.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
actually,
tell
and
me
it's
about
talking more about my son. My son's name is Caleb. So at 2012, I was 22. Okay, girl, let's talk about that.
let's
So I
talk
was
about
22 years old, and I remember having this urge, and I don't know where it came from, but I had this urge of, like, I wanted to help women. And I decided that I was going to start a Bible study, and but it was going to be like a book club slash Bible study, and it was
it.
going to be to help women. So I started it at 22 in my parents' living room. I can remember the very first meeting that I had, and I can tell you how many people showed up to that meeting. And it was one person, but I continued on with, like, doing the meeting and everything. But at the same time, I kind of felt like, okay, well, maybe this is not what God. I thought He told me to do this, maybe not. So after losing my son, which was a year later, maybe not exactly a year, the months could be overlapping. But so in 2023, I find out I'm pregnant, then I lose my baby. And then I'm like, okay, I'm about to move out on my own because I just graduated college. So I had went back my senior year. I'm getting ready to move out on my own. I'm terrified to move out on my own because I lost my son. I could not go to sleep by myself. It was very, very traumatic. And I remembered my mom, like, just speaking life into me and was like, hey, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to live by yourself. You've been living on your own since you was 18. You just had this traumatic experience, but you'll be okay. So I went ahead and I moved out. And then when I moved out, I restarted Endless Love back up. And so I think it started back up January of that next year after losing my child. But it started immediately, like, just immediately back up. And I was hosting Bible studies at my house. I was hosting events called Queen Talks. So Queen Talks, because I believe to be a woman that's an everyday woman. I'm not a super saint. If you're looking for someone that's, like, super holier than thou, I'm not her. I love the Lord. I love to pray. I love the music. I love to sing. I love to worship. I just love God, but I'm not a person that is going to forcefully force my religion or my beliefs on other people. But I am going to talk to you about Jesus all day long. So with
Mm,
Queen Talk was a space where women could come and just be who they are. So if you come in and you are in a relationship and you're not married, but maybe you having sex with that person, okay, come to Queen Talk. If you are having, if you like to listen to rap music, if you are just a woman just showing up every day and needing support, comes to Queen Talk. So Queen Talk wasn't a Bible study. We would just, all the girls would get together and we would just have girl talk. And so I'll never forget one time where I hosted an event and I had a one bedroom townhome, girl. And I had packed my townhome out. I had girls sitting up the steps and it was some girls on the phone. And so like that, so even after losing my son, and I have a documentary called Journey to Joy where I talk a little bit more about how endless love came back to life after losing him too. So, and the whole purpose of Endless Love was just to create a safe place for women to be their normal selves and to build these relationship with God, but to also build a loving relationship with yourself. That's another reason why I think God needed me to heal the way that I needed to from the
mm,
loss of my son. You know what I mean? Because at the age of 35 now, I've grown so much. Yeah, I just spent and it's September, so I'm in a lot of reflection. So I'm like,
mm.
man, I could have done without losing my son, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
wow, look at how far I've come and look at how far I've grown and look at all the things that I've learned and look at how I've been able to teach other people too. And it all started from that mission room at the 22. I don't know. I just want to help women, you know?
Mm, yeah.
And so like here we are now. Yeah.
Oh, that is great. So are you still doing it now?
So I am still doing endless love, but my career has had some many different changes and stuff. So I have a pause on it. But endless love has a Facebook group that anybody can join, and so I'm hoping that next year, maybe like mid next year, I can get my membership back rolling and events back rolling too. Because I used to do so as I've grown in my career, endless love has grown too. So now I am incorporating my mental wellness tools and techniques into my spiritual and mental wellness. I'm incorporating
Mm,
those two things together.
mm,
And so last year I had held several events with Endless Love, and they were like just unique, different type of mental wellness. So outside of your going for yoga or doing walks, I love to walk, so that's something that I definitely do. But I hosted events like where we did a coffee and calligraphy event. So a young lady came, a black woman at that, came to teach us about wellness and calligraphy. So she was teaching just the basics of calligraphy, but also how that can help you with your mental wellness, how that can help you with grounding. I had another amazing young lady come out and teach us about singing and not being able to sing, but just using your voice as a tool to help you relax and calm down. And then another event that we had last year was a sex education event and even learning to love your body. So I love hosting mental wellness events that are beyond the surface of what we normally are taught about coping. You know what I mean? I want us to be able to realize that sometimes having a conversation with your friend that you ain't talked to in a while is a way of coping. Coping shouldn't feel like a task. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel like a task. It should feel enjoyable, but it should also be something that is a part of our everyday, like, routine and living. And sometimes we don't always get to do it how we want to do it, but there's other ways that we're doing it too. So I want to do things that bring that to our attention and our awareness as well. So I'm hoping next year I can get back to some stable ground with the changes in my career so that we can be back outside. Because girl, I've been hosting events for a long time and it's just fun. Sometimes I do support groups. I've done support groups with Endless Love. And so that's been really, really fun. And so just in this space right now, just resting, planning, strategizing. But I'm excited to see what God does next. I know for a fact that it's not going anywhere,
but
and that's
yeah,
beautiful for me.
that's good, especially to be able to be a safe space, because as women, we go through a lot, but we don't always feel safe or comfortable enough to open up. and share,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
especially in a room full of other people, you know.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So I love what you're doing.
Thank
Um,
you.
so in 2023, you said that was your leap year. You went
Yeah.
full time with your brand. Like that was a big
Yeah.
move. What was the mind shift, the mindset shift that you had to make, and what has been the most beautiful and the most challenging part of that shift?
Yeah, girl crazy. Actually, crazy. So I feel like this journey of just growing and learning more about myself. So here I am. I have my master's degree. I have my license in my master's as well. And then at this point in my life, I was pursuing my LCSW. So in the state of Tennessee, in order to have a private practice, if you are providing therapy services and if you are a social worker, every discipline is different. But in the state of Tennessee, you have to have your LCSW. So I was on that path to obtain my LCSW to go into private practice. But the more I just was on this journey of growing and healing myself and facing my trauma and getting really clear about some things and setting boundaries, the more I started paying attention to like some of this stuff isn't just making sense right now. Some of this stuff is just not adding up for me. And being the first in my immediate family to get a degree, to finish college, to get my bachelor's, to get a master's, to be as successful as I've been with doing entrepreneurship, even though it was part time, I was still feeling stuck and stagnant. Why am I not seeing all the things that I went to school for? Mind you, a piece of my testimony is your girl didn't even want to go to college. So to end up with 2 degrees of license and on my way to getting a third one, it's just I know it was God, right? But I'm
Mm,
sitting in my therapy office, and I love providing therapy. I love helping people, but what am I getting from this? You know what I mean?
mhm,
And it's not just about the money, but the money played a big role in it because like how am I serving people but barely being able to take care of myself? And I think so many
mm.
black women, we're so used to doing that. Like, okay, well,
Yes.
that's a part of my passion, about a part of my calling.
Yep.
The Bible says to be fruitful and multiply. That Proverbs queen that Jesus talks about, and I remember in my 20s with endless love, literally, I was talking to a friend about this recently, hosting a Bible study specifically on Proverbs queen and what it meant to be a Proverbs 31 queen. And a decade later, I look back over that and I'm like, oh girl, yeah, you in alignment now. Like you are in true alignment with where you were supposed to be. But I had to take a risk on myself. I had to do something scary. And I had to say, okay, even though this income is not what I want it to be and it's not really steady how I want it to be, I need to take a risk on myself to see what I can gain and how I can grow. And so I also tell people that I kind of got pushed into full-time entrepreneurship. That was not my plan. My plan was to walk away from therapy to go get a salary paid position. So with therapy, we're contract workers. We're paid by the clients that we see. A lot of people don't know that. People think that, oh, they rich, baby. Then you got to involve insurance companies. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's just a lot. So my plan was to go get the salary paid job, and then as I'm doing the salary paid, I'm going to slowly transition into full time entrepreneurship. That was my plan. It did not go that way. It did
Yeah.
not go that way. But I knew that that position that I did end up getting, that was a salary paid position, grateful for it, grateful for the opportunity. But I knew that once I walked away from it and that ended, that I was not likely going to be working for someone full time ever again. And so I was like, all right, God, here I am. Have your way. And so I've been in full time entrepreneurship ever since then. It has been extremely challenging. It has been extremely hard. I think for me, one of my biggest and hardest challenges has been because, like I said, I've been on my own since I was 18 years old. But I've been working since I was 15. I've always been a hustler. I've always I love taking care of myself. I love living a certain lifestyle. I love having a credit score that's 800 and above. Like I love this stuff. And to kind of be pushed into a full-time entrepreneurship suddenly. It changed my lifestyle quickly. It just changed a lot, girl. It just changed so much. And it happened so quickly too. So having to deal with anxiety, having to deal with low moods, and having to deal with, relationships ending and transitions and all this kind of stuff. So those have been like the hardest challenges. I think
Yeah.
also trying to bring in funding for your income, for your business. So technically it's not a startup business, but because I'm just stepping into it full time, I'm at a startup level. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, like, learning all these different things, that has been challenging, but the most rewarding thing has been my growth and how I see myself as a woman. I think I am unstoppable, girl.
I love
I
it.
think that I can do anything. I don't know when my prayers will be answered in the fullness of how I've been praying them, but I am so confident that they're going to happen because I have experienced so much change, transitions, and losses, but I've also been experiencing God cover me and keep me and carry me through all of it. So if I told you some of the things that I've been through in the past couple years since making that decision, you wouldn't believe me because when you look at me, you cannot tell. And I am
Mm.
so grateful by the grace of God that his hands has been on me this entire time. So that's another reason why I know that this was the right decision for me. But it has been hard because it's a complete lifestyle change. Like I'm 35 years old. And for some people, that's late in life to be making such a big decision like this. But at the same time, I also feel like I had to go through the things that I had to go through. I needed to learn the things that I needed to learn. I needed to face the trauma that I needed to face. I'm more ready now to be a full-time entrepreneur and run a business and be a leader than I was in my 20s when I started the business.
Right.
And I think that I was a good leader then. I think I'm a way better leader now. You know what I mean? I think that I have way many more skills and knowledge and even like emotional intelligence,
Right.
that I didn't have then, but I have it now. And yeah, so that's kind of where I am.
Wow. I wish we had enough time to hear some of those stories.
Girl, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about those stories, but I will say that I do believe that there's going to be a time where, I'm gonna look back on this moment in this podcast, right? And I'm gonna be like, see, I told you I'm gonna talk about the testimony because
One day. Yeah.
one day, one day, but yeah, God has covered me for sure. He's kept me for
It's a
sure.
blessing. How
Hmm.
do you say that you um found your own relationship with God at 13?
Hmm.
What was that feeling for somebody else that probably want to have a relationship with God but don't know when God is actually talking to them?
Mm, that's a really great question, girl. I like good questions because it makes me, and I like to talk. I'm very intellectual. Wow. So if I could go back to that girl, that teenage girl, that preteen girl, I was in a space of feeling a little bit like not feeling loved. And God was, so you go to church and you learn that Jesus loves you. You know what I mean? And that's all you talk about in church. You know what I mean? That's all you um learn and gain while you're in church is that God loves you, or you should be understanding how much God loves you, right? So I remember being this young girl and not feeling loved. Tyler Perry, and much love to my parents because I know that they love me. I know that they care about me. They're one of my biggest support in where I am right now. So when I become that billionaire or millionaire, multi-millionaire, uh, they
Amen.
are definitely have been a big piece of my journey. But they also got married really, really young. And so I don't believe they were intentionally not trying to show me love. I just think that that the things that we were experiencing in life left
Right.
me feeling like that.
Mhm.
And so Tyler Perry, I used to love his plays,
Right.
child. Okay. And there was this one play where this young girl was singing a song and she was saying about how she felt like she wasn't loved. And I would sing those songs to myself, but there was just this feeling inside of me that was reminding me that I was. And so if I could offer anybody, you know what I mean, anything, as much as you feel hopeless, as much as you feel sad, as much as you feel behind or isolated, there is something, even if it's like a small feeling, there's a little bitty small feeling that says, but you are important, but you are good enough, but you are loved. And I would say, grab onto it. I don't care how small it is. You know what I mean? Grab onto it and you take it and expand upon it. So if you have this small feeling inside of you that says, God loves me, take it, go expand upon it. Go listen to songs that remind you that God loves you. Go read the Bible, go talk to friends, go read a book, you know what I mean? But then just take that little small step, that little small piece and just grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it. And I feel like that can help be your start to building your relationship. I think the other thing is too knowing that challenges happen with life. We'll have highs, we'll have lows, we'll have in betweens, and those are not direct reflections of who you are. Baby, it's just life. You know, there's another song, Mary Mary, I try and I can't give up now. I can't give up now was the first song that I ever sung as a solo girl. And I don't like singing for people. Like I'll sing in the background. Um, but I don't like singing, but I can't give up now was one of my favorite songs. And it was one of those songs as a teen that really, really resonated with me. And it played for me a couple weeks ago. And I was like, girl, you see where you come from. But you know, it's taking little things like that. That song as a child, as a teenager, was really, really important to me for me to grab onto so that I can keep going. You know,
Mm.
everybody is not going to have people around them to support them and pour into their cup. And I am so sorry that you
Yeah,
will not get that
yeah,
from the people around you. But that doesn't mean that you cannot get it. And it does not mean that it's not on the inside of you. So take
yeah.
that one little thing and expand it for yourself.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I've been on your site and I see that
Hmm.
you have affirmations, apparel, books, everything
Yeah.
so intentional. Tell us more about
Yeah.
the mission behind your products. What can people expect when they visit CourtneyAlesia.com?
Yeah. So when people go visit my website or my link tree, you can just expect a little bit of everything from me. So one thing you're gonna see that is that I love God, I love music, and I love spiritual and mental wellness. And so when you go to my page, you're gonna get a little bit of all of that. And so you ask us everything I do intentional, very, very much so. I believe that I don't give to anybody what I haven't given to myself first or what I've learned about life. So I'm literally speaking from a place of girl, let me tell you, I'd have been here before too. You know what I mean? Type of situation, type of vibe. But I also bring in my professional view too. And so, like, if you go to my website, you'll see some products saying God is kind. I developed that campaign last year, but I've been saying God is kind for a really, really long time. And how that came about was because I've dealt with a lot of grief. So September is a really heavy month for me. It's my son's birthday, my grandmother's birthday, but I've also lost other loved ones in the month of September. And so some of their
Mhm.
anniversaries are coming up this weekend and next week. And
Oh,
so there was a time, maybe like 2018, 2017, 2018, where my family was losing people back to back. And then church family was passing away. I was losing classmates. It was just a lot of death. And so when people would check on me and ask me how I was doing, I may have been an emotional wreck, losing my mind, going crazy. But my response was, God is kind. And that helped me stay grounded. That helped me stay focused. That helped me continue to believe in my purpose. And so I decided to make it a campaign for others to actually come into that understanding too. So that when you're saying God is kind, it is an act of gratitude. And gratitude is proven to help us be centered. Gratitude is proven to help us regulate our feelings and emotions and to have a better understanding of our experiences. And so the statement God is kind is to help us do that. If someone's asking you how you doing, you may be having like a really bad day. You may say, I'm having a bad day, girl, but God is still kind, right? And so
yeah.
that was the purpose Of that, Glow Up Sis is a book that I wrote to myself in 2018. And I just wrote affirmations to myself. And then I decided, hey, if I needed these affirmations, I'm sure other women need the affirmations as well. So I put them out. It's a very easy read. I would say it's good for women, young women, ages maybe 13 and up. I would say 12, probably 12 up,
Hmm.
because these young ladies are far advanced these days.
Yes, they
So yeah, and they need a lot of love. And so I feel like the book is good for that age, good for ministries, good for small groups. I had a friend, she's still my friend, my love. She's a social worker at a school at this time, but she created a curriculum with the book and she taught it to her kids that she was doing group therapy with. So I thought that was amazing. So Glow Up Sis is a really easy read. It's 31 Days of Affirmations. It's my baby. And it's not the first book I've written, but it's the first book that I released. So I look forward to in the coming years of releasing more books that are really detailed with spiritual and mental wellness and some of the tools and techniques I like to teach my clients and other people. So cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral and solution focus, those things I want to write more books around that.
hmm.
And release more books around that. But that's what I have on my website right now. And then you can also get services with me, but you have to email me for those services. Yeah.
I think I saw excuse me, something on your website about readings. You do readings?
Yes.
Tell me about
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So, interesting. I'm glad that you asked that question because a lot of people don't ask about it, but a lot of people they reject it immediately because they're like,
Mhm,
"Oh, that's evil. Jesus wasn't this. Jesus wasn't that." Da, 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 da." However, a few years ago, maybe 2016 is when I was first introduced to them, and I remember when I had my first reading, and I was like, "Now," I went up to the girl. I was like, "I'm a church girl, and I've been told that we're not supposed to do this."
right.
So it's the sweetest young lady. She was so kind and she just talked to me and she was like, yo, but my perspective is a positive perspective, this and third, blah, blah, blah. And I had an amazing reading. Actually, if you go on my website, it's probably one of the very first blogs that I did. And
Mm,
so she should be on there where I talk about it. So from then on, I just continued to study and learn more about it. As I grew in my career as a social worker and as I grew in ministry and my relationship with Christ, what I realized is that people were using this as a way of gaining information. So I started to learn a little bit more about it and how I can use it and incorporate it into my mental and spiritual wellness practices. So this is good, and surprisingly enough, a lot of Christian women love tarot readings or getting readings and they just are not open about it. And I
yeah.
feel like the way that I provide it, it gives you is safety. It's focused on being a tool to help you grow. This is not a space where you're going to come to me and you're going to try to get information about a relationship. You know what I mean? Or if, is this person going to marry me? Like, no, we don't have time for that. You know what I mean? But if certain things come up, where these cards come out and they're like, hey, we're going to talk about if you want to be in a relationship, the tools that you need to help you be successful in one. Or are you ready for one? Or if you're engaging with people that you may not be in relationship with, you know, should you be leaving these people or should you be setting boundaries more? So I use it as a clinical and spiritual mental wellness tool. And so something else that I do with it is after we do the reading, is 24 hours after the reading, I will send you a follow-up and I will actually apply tools in that follow-up email. I'll put tools in that follow-up email about how you can continue to work on your growth. So my readings are all about growth. It's all about expanding your insight. It's about learning more about yourself. It's learning more about what do you need to do to help you reach the goals that you're looking for. Very very positive outlook on it. If you are looking to like, oh, you are trying to use it to like, I don't even know. I'm trying to think about all the crazy stuff people use
Anything
reading for.
negative. That could
If anything
potentially
that's not, like if you're trying to use it for anything that is not, is the
self-help.
opposite of healing and growing, then I'm not the girl for you because I studied this and I realized, oh, people like this, but let me use it in a way that can be empowering. So it may not be for everybody. I don't necessarily have to use cards either because um I don't know. I
That's
can
what
just sense
I
some
was
things.
asking. Do you have to use the cards? Because I think the cards is what scare people sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I think it's too because people, I mean, honestly, truly, we hear all these bad things and negative things about it. I'm here to tell you that you do not have to be. What you should be afraid of is who you receive this type of information from, because everybody is not equipped and everybody is not aligned. So that's what you should be more afraid of. But you should also be afraid of that when you go to these churches too, because just because somebody is behind a pulpit doesn't mean that they are truly a man of God. The Bible talks about false prophets. You know what I
I
mean?
definitely
So I
believe
think that we put too much emphasis on a certain practice without looking at all the, zooming out. But with me, we don't have to. We can, you can sit down and talk to me, and just by my own intellect, we can just kind of go from there and do a spiritual intuitive reading. That's why they call it spiritual intuitive readings, because I'm using my spiritual intuitiveness.
so you can you kind of psychic. You can feel things and see things. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if I would say, girl, yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm screaming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It scares people to know, and I think people like, I'm not in the, I can't, I'm not a like, tomorrow you're gonna go step outside and this is gonna happen. I'm not that. But God does pour things into me, and I do give them to other people as God has given them to me, and that's what I'll say.
I get it because I got I have the gift of being able to feel things in advance,
Mhm.
but I'm not.
Mhm.
I don't have the gift of being able to like channel it like a person, a profession, or something. Like you
Mhm.
ask me something, I'll be able to just okay. Well, this is what
Mhm.
I feel. No, it just has to hit me, and then once it hit me, I could feel it. Then I could tell you, okay, this just came to me out of nowhere, and this, and this, and then usually
Yeah.
it happens, and then it actually happens. But
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
but but y'all have the gift to be able to just channel it right then and there, and it does scare people.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it takes me back. I remember a therapy session that I did maybe a couple years ago. Excuse me, this young lady was sharing some stuff with me, and my response to her, it took both of us back, but it was like real key on, and that was my actual first time meeting her. And we worked together for a very, very long time. And I even said, I said, I know you're probably gonna be like, how do you know this girl? I don't know, but just rock with me for a minute. You know what I mean?
Wow,
And
it
then
just
and tell me if I'm wrong. But I've had many moments like that, you know what I mean, where I'm just like, something drops into my spirit, and then I ask a question. They look at me and how you know that, and I'm like, I'm just listening to you, I'm just listening to
yeah,
you.
yeah,
I'm just, taking information in. I don't think that I know everything. I don't think that I'm right all the time, so that's why when you're working with me, it's the invitation, and we're doing this together, because I honestly believe those I'm serving, they're the expert of their life. You live with you more
right,
than I do, I just have a couple degrees, and I am blessed with some gifts. And but yeah, it is but I'm not a psychic that can, call into your ancestors and tell them to come forward. Girl, I don't even want to do that. Like,
I
but
was
it is.
reading with those cards, people are able to do that. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, and everybody's gift is different. Everybody is able to do different things.
True.
But that's why I say, if you are interested, some people come to me because they trust me as a woman of God, and they've
Mhm.
known me and they followed me, and they see how I talk on social media. You know what I mean? And they see not even how I talk on social media, but how I talk in the community, or how I engage with them. So find somebody that you trust, find somebody that you can believe in. But again, I'm not even just talking about terrorism, I'm talking about anywhere that you are spiritually fed. Make sure that it aligns with your values and your
Right,
morals, you know what I mean?
right,
And because I feel like that's a lot we could talk forever about, that I think that's how comes in, manipulation with religion and stuff comes in. So make sure that you are around safe people. But yeah, I always try to make it really clear for me that if you want to come and try to figure out if Johnny Bobo is cheating on you, I don't know, baby. Like, that's not
uh-uh.
it. That's not it. But if you want to come to me and say, I believe Johnny Bobo is cheating on me, and I need to figure out how to move through this and how to heal and to grow, then I'm the girl to talk to. But if you want the answers and if you want the who he doing it with and how many girls it's with and all that, I don't have time.
Oh, that's
That's not
good.
me. Yeah.
All positivity.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love that. And I like the fact that you are mental health, you do therapy and you're tying
Mhm.
it together. You know,
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
could probably relate better to that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and from a godly aspect as well, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
more
Absolutely.
relatable. And I don't go to church for that reason because of what you said about the manipulative pastors
Mhm.
and things like that. And
Mhm.
I don't feel I've gone to different ones, but my spirit hasn't connected with one to the point where it made me wanna go there every Sunday. I'll just
Mhm.
watch church on
Mhm.
TV and get the message what I need to get versus going to an actual facility. Are you
Yeah.
actually a church member right now?
So I'm not a church member right now. I was towards the beginning of this year, but I'm not right now in the moment. But I also believe that I love church. Like I said, I grew up in it. So like that's something that I'm used to. And I would love to find a church home, but I'm very particular, like how I've grown in my life and where I am, like everybody gets my boundaries, you know what I mean? And then I have certain expectations. So I'm okay with missing a couple Sundays at church until I find a church home that aligns with me. But I
Absolutely.
still get Jesus every day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I still in my word every day, and then like with my friends, I love to be surrounded by people who love God just as much as I do. I'm never separated from Jesus. I'm never separated from God. Like me and my friends, we be on the phone. Somebody will say a song. Now we having church service. You know what I mean? Like we just like we just like love God. And so I'm grateful, or even my family, they are you'll have one day me and my mom both was playing Pastor Mike Jr. and I was like, this is crazy. Like we in our own separate places, but when we come together, we both have been listening to the same thing. You know what I mean? So I'm surrounded by faith-filled people and I'm surrounded by people who know how to pray and who actually pray and who read their word. And I think sometimes we spend so much time looking for church on the outside that we forget that it starts on the inside of us. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so we are the Jesus that people see. We are that safety and community that people can get, and
Mhm.
just a mere counter, you know what I mean? So
Right.
church is really really important, but church should also be really safe for people too. And if you don't feel safe in certain places, then create that safety for yourself.
I love that. Before we get out of here, I would like to you mentioned a, um, a chapter in the Bible for women. I don't remember which
Hmm.
one it was. Do you remember? I don't know if it was about queens or something that you stood on.
Oh, I talked about Proverbs Queen. Proverbs
Proverbs
31.
queen. Can you
Hmm.
tell us about that and the message behind it to kind of inspire other women since this is the Boss Women Network? Maybe we can inspire other women.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so y'all, I actually just got done finished reading Proverbs maybe a few weeks ago. So I love to read, and here lately I have been reading a lot, but I've been reading my Bible a lot. And I've
Mm,
been reading my Bible and I've been comparing it to my business and to my brand and to
mm.
what aligns with me. So I've been reading Proverbs. I just finished James and now I'm on Nehemiah, and Nehemiah is filling my cup all the way up. And so
Ooh,
when I think about Proverbs, I think about it. So I'm going to give you a little bit more outside of Proverbs 31, because when I think about the whole entire book of Proverbs, I think about it being a foundation for where you are trying to go. So I actually saw this young lady on TikTok. I wish I remembered her name, but she talked about how reading Proverbs helped make her business more lucrative. And so a couple of her videos kept popping up on my timeline. And I was like, you know what, Jesus, this is the last time that her video gonna pop up on my timeline, and I'm not gonna go read Proverbs. And I read Proverbs one, and I pulled my journal out, and I was journaling with it, and I've been hooked since then. So I
mm,
say go to Proverbs and get your wisdom, get your foundation. If you have been in business for a while, like for me, I started at the age of 22, but I went back to get restored. I went back to get replenished, and so I feel like Proverbs has good information for wisdom building, for relationship building, for foundation building. And then I think when you get to Proverbs 31, because it's the last chapter, that and as a woman, it is letting you know that when you do all of these things, this is who you become: a blessed woman, an honorable woman, a woman that makes wise decisions, not just for herself, but for her family, for her children, for her business. I'm talking about it is transformational and it is beautiful, but you have to go in it with not a, okay, I'm going to read Proverbs and then maybe God will give me something. I'm going to read Proverbs so that I can learn what God is trying to give me so that we can establish things together. Um,
Okay.
Go read it. Run and read it from beginning to end and get your paper and pen out because it's good for your brain processing as well.
And that's a word for you ladies. All right. Well, Courtney, your words, they carry weight. Your obedience, your honesty, your heart, they're felt. If someone is listening right now feeling stuck and afraid to leap and unsure their voice matters, check out Proverbs 31, as she said,
Mhm,
and get your journal out and get to writing.
mhm.
Well, be sure to connect with Courtney, everybody. Did you want to give out any of your social medias so they can find you and give out your website again?
Yeah, so you all can find me. I'm more active on Threads and Instagram. And so my Instagram account is Courtney.Arlesia. It's Courtney Arlesia on what's the other ones? There's so many social media sites. TikTok, Substack. Please follow me on Substack. So I just launched a new Substack back in July, and that is where I'm putting a lot of my passion and work into. So you'll find my writings. I started a new podcast exclusively for Substack. Um, I'm growing in different ways on Substack. So please follow me there. It's CourtneyArlesia.substack.com. And then my if you go to my Instagram, there's my link tree and all of my information. You can find articles that I've done, interviews that I've done, all the things, all the jazz on that link tree too. So follow me, connect with me, but definitely connect with me on Substack, y'all.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on the Boss Women Network podcast. Um, and remember, guys, your story is not small. You're building legacy, one purpose filled step at a time. So until next time, keep showing up like a CEO S, which is a female CEO. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
y'all.
again for joining me.
Thank you for having me and congratulations on everything.
Thank you too. Same to you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.